And thank you, and to have Minister McEntee here in the Department of Justice. Minister, I know that it is absolutely crucial for you that we have zero tolerance when it comes to violence, aggression, abuse against women. Women in the home, this is the challenge we have, because more than likely it is people you know that this is happening to, and it's people that women know, and it's trusted partners. It can sometimes be relationships that are breaking down, and it is extremely difficult. Minister, I am so supportive of your drive here over the last number of years, your focus in bringing this forward. We do need a standalone agency here. We do. We need this. You know, in terms of looking at domestic, sexual, gender-based violence that is happening, we need to fight for refuge places. You're very familiar, and I know you visited both Roscommon and Galway, and where I'm based in Ballinasloe, where it's difficult because there's a lack of access to refuge places. And one of the key priorities of this agency is to fight for refuge places in areas where we don't have them at the moment. It is a challenge, and I know in Galway we have Cope Galway. Minister, I would like nothing more than to invite you this evening, and I'm sure your diary may not allow that, but this evening Lions Club in Galway in Ballinasloe is actually hosting an event around domestic violence, and it's been hosted by Rita Spencer, who has spoken this morning on Galway Bay FM, and will also be at that event this evening. And it's about taking away the stigma about this, that in small towns, in big towns, in all sorts of towns and villages, we are able to talk about this, and we're able to talk about supporting both men and women. And men can experience verbal abuse and aggression within the home as well. But it's just absolutely crucial that there's supports put in place. Minister, if you have time to comment and in response, I know that the group of experts has looked specifically at the Istanbul Convention, and I know, Minister, that that's been absolutely crucial. We have an Irish member of that, Ellen O'Malley Dunlop, who has served as one of the experts on the Grevio, and I know that she has spoken often about the importance of Ireland, and part of the Istanbul Convention. We signed up to that in 2019. This report is now out, and Minister, I know that you are taking those recommendations. There are areas where, of course, there has been huge progress for us, but there are areas, obviously, that we have to move forward on. I know that the upfront episode, again with Katie Hannon on Monday night, really showed the challenges for women going through a court process. And Minister, of course, the changes that we're making around that, the court system, how we're going to streamline teleconferencing, how we're going to really support the speed up of our courts, how we're going to ensure that we're getting guards in and out quickly into these types of systems, and how we're supporting a victim's journey, which you've always spoken about, how we support the victim's journey from start to finish, and how we're ensuring that our legislation is going to do that. Minister, the acts and legislation that you have seen come through under your time in office, we have seen the making offences of the Non-Fatal Strangulation and Stalking Act. We have seen COCA's law come into being, which is that the sharing and the threat to sharing of intimate images is now illegal and is an offence. And we have seen the communication of that been rolled out. It's not enough that we're putting that legislation in place. We can all see in RTE now the ads where there's that young guy sitting down suddenly going, that's not a crime, but actually, guess what? There's a guard sitting right opposite saying it is. That's what we need to see. We need to see that people are being, know the impact of these crimes, and that this is a crime, and that it's encouraging young women to stand up, and our men, our young men at every age, that they're also part of this conversation. Four of the pillars in that Istanbul Convention are around protection, prevention, policy, prosecution. When it comes to prevention, that's education. And Minister, you might like to speak about how your department is working with other departments, including education, on the Active Consent programme. That's been rolled out through the University of Galway. That programme, it's absolutely crucial that we're seeing that those are workshops that are happening in secondary schools, transition year, fifth year, leave inserts. I know in my local area, I've engaged with our principals around ensuring that those workshops are happening in our secondary schools, in my town, in my area, in my constituency, because we need to make sure that that education is happening from a very young age. And Minister, I know there are so many elements to this. This is only one part of a huge portfolio that you have. But I know that this is a priority for you. And what I want to see when this agency is set up is I want to see refuge places in rural and regional areas. I want to see the rollout of those 24-hour helplines. I want to see the support for the likes of Cope Galway, for example, in terms of those refuge spaces that are available. And that we are there and our Gardaí are trained, and that there is a whole government approach. And that's what we're seeing now as well. Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you, Carla.